the Sahel countries, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, they must be celebrated because they are doing what our Pan-African fathers wanted to do when they met in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in 1963. The creation of an Africa that was united, an Africa that was that had a single military, an Africa that had a single currency, an Africa with a single monetary policy, an Africa with a single central bank. That's what we're talking about. And that's what the Sahel nations are creating in their own little way. On my end, I am really happy with what President Trump is doing in terms of USAID. We don't need USAID in Africa. USAID, out of the trillions that are being taken out of Africa, we are getting crumbs in the form of aid. Africa does not need aid, and I'm glad USAID is going to be getting out of Africa. One, another reason I'm glad USAID is getting out of Africa, because the majority of them are CIA operatives who are there to infiltrate the countries in the form of giving aid. They have full access to go to the most remote parts of Africa in the name of giving aid, when their real mission is to infiltrate the government and then always be there to destabilize the governments from one election to the other. Or if the president should do anything that they don't like, they are already there playing their dirty games. So now people need to understand USAID is not everything it's cut out to be. So while I may not agree with everything President Trump is doing, on this one, I support him 1,000%. USAID needs to get out of Africa, and they need to get out of Africa now. Our leadership needs to take an inventory of what else is going out of our country. They need to stop the bleeding. What USAID is bringing to Africa in the form of aid is peanuts compared to what is being taken out of the country. So our leadership needs to regroup, take this opportunity to reassess what is really going on. The money is there. If I were to use an example of the uranium in Niger, the position that was taken by Niger to say the company that was mining the uranium, they kicked them out and said they're going to start mining their own uranium. That company was paying the government 80 cents per kilo, and then turning around and selling the same uranium at 200 euros per kilo. That move alone from Burkina Faso was able to go from benefiting $1 billion a year to 300 billion a year, because now they were selling their own uranium themselves to the world market. Those type of inventories need to be done. Our governments need to be serious about leading us. They need to make sure that, to the same extent that President Trump is saying America first, we too must say Ethiopia first, Egypt first, Nigeria first, and at a certain level, Africa first. Exactly. That's how we should manage. So yes, let's take the bold moves that we can see from President Traore. Let's now apply that to all of the continent. Africa first. Our leadership must send a resounding message to the world. United, one voice, one heart, one mind. Let's send a strong message to the rest of the world. Yes, Germany first. Yes, France first. Yes, America first. Yes, Europe first. We too are saying Africa first. That's the way the game should be played. It should be an equal playing field. We also have a position to take. We also have something they need. But let's negotiate fairly, let's trade fairly, and let's look for Africa first.
This is what we have realized, and this is what we are saying. The so-called USAID, USAID, that Donald Trump recently cut from Africa, that is no longer going to continue allowing it from Africa. It was terrorism, it was criminals, and it was something that it was not even helping Africans. So We don't want it, and we are telling United States of America, we are telling Donald Trump, we don't want the USAID anymore. Those aids, USAID, take it back, and we don't want it. Okay? It was criminal and it was terrorism. We have just realized that. And that is why Ibrahim Traore said we've been getting these aids for the last 60 years, but still there is no changes. Africa remains the same. It never changes. I can see the reason as to why Africa has been getting it, but at the end of the day, it still remains the same. Because we have recently realized that these things were being conducted even by the CIAs. They come to Africa, they go to the deepest parts of Africans. They go even to the villages, so they know every secret, they know every detail about our countries, about our nations. And at the end of the day, when they get out of Africa, they go and begin supplying those details to their countries in the United States of America. And so at the end of the day, we end up being poor and we end up being masikini all the times. We can never continue, we can never go anywhere. Because they take details, they take our secrets on how they can be able to attack us, on the issues, on the things they can use against us. Okay? They go to the villages and see the things they can speak and they can use to convince us to be able to continue supporting them and to be able to continue staying in their governments. So this is what we are saying. We don't want that aid. Take that aid back to your country. Stay with it there. Be with it. We don't need it. Because tell us, we have had it. How have we been helped? Since all that time that we have had it, how have we been helped? Has something changed? Nothing has changed. They come to Africa, they go to the villages, they go to the deepest part of the countries, looking at where they can be able to get minerals. They have been conducting research in the name of their supplying aid to Africa. Why can't they let Africans themselves do that work? Why should they come? Why is it that they cannot send it and then we see how we can supply it ourselves? They are coming with their CIDs and the DCIs, people who are coming to check how Africa looks like, where they can get in, how they can come in, what are the things they can use to be able to convince us to continue allowing them stay in Africa. We don't want that the so-called USAID, as Dr. Arikana has just said. We don't want it. We don't need it. We don't need it. Stay with it. We do not want it at all. We are good. We are okay. You see how Burkina Faso is surviving? That's how Africa is going to survive. President Traore has shown us the way, and that is the way to go about all this situation. Okay? If you're expecting, you're waiting for us to fail, I'm sorry for you, because you're not going to fail. We're going to stand because we are now united, and we are going to stand. We are going to stand, and we are going to get to places you never expected we can get. We are going to rule Africa. We are going to be the giants of the world very soon. So we don't need it. We don't need anything that comes from you. Anything that belongs to you, we don't need it. We can do this ourselves. We can rule over ourselves. We can guide ourselves. We can provide for solutions for our own problems. We don't need you to come in. We don't need you to bring funds. We don't need you to bring the so-called aid, because you're making us fools. Okay? We cannot continue taking from you. We want to build and create what belongs to us. Okay? We don't need it. Yeah. Let's see if we can die without the so-called USAID. Let's see if we can die. Yeah. We have accepted the consequences and to deal with the repercussions that will come. Because at the end of the day, we are still the same. Whether with or without it, nothing has changed. Africa is not growing. No development. No infrastructure. Nothing is advancing. Everything is still remaining the same. In fact, the poverty is now adding. So we don't need it. Just be with it. We don't want it.